Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Legends of Zegan. Thanks again for tuning in. I am so pumped. We have another incredible guest, another legend. You guys are in for a treat on this one because this is an incredible person, one of my greatest friends. I am pleased to introduce you all to none other than Rico Lavender.
Thanks, Dave. It's good to be here. I'm excited.
I'm excited.
I've been waiting to get on this podcast. Yeah,
Man.
I've been in the background just watching them and like, when am I going to get on there?
Respect, man. Well, you are definitely here, and we are about to uncover what makes Rico Lavender a legend. And
I mean, I don't even know if I belong in that category.
you
but,
do.
You
You
know.
do. Absolutely, man. I mean, honestly, everybody out there has a story to tell. Everybody's gone through some type of hardship, adversity. There's a lot of people out there doing big things in life.
Yeah.
You're checking all the boxes, man. So you are 100% legend,
Well,
and we're going to tell people why. So I want to first ask you, Rico Lavender is such a cool name. Is that your real name?
It is my real name. I know people ask me that a lot, or they'll say that's just a made-up name, or is that your stripper name, or just something wild that makes no sense. It's a real name. Rico is a pretty common Spanish name, and Lavender is it's actually an English name. So it's a real name.
It's a fantastic name, man. I genuinely, I think I didn't fully believe that was your real name when I first met you, because I was like, there's no way that's his real name. Rico Lavender, like how cool is that?
Yeah.
And you've actually subsequently kind of turned that into a brand.
I
right?
have.
I think that's brilliant. And so we're going to uncover that. We're going to talk about the Rico Lavender brand. It's incredible. But what makes Rico such a legend is that he is up to big things in life. So I met Rico through kind of a mutual friend, and we instantly kind of connected over our passion for music. So we'll probably dive into a little bit about music and its influence in your life.
Okay.
But first, I want to really kind of understand, because you're an entrepreneur, and you got bit by the entrepreneur bug early on, I think, right?
I did.
So
I did.
let's talk about that a little bit. Why for you? What age? When did it start for you?
Started at a young age. I'm not really sure why, but I really think entrepreneurship is in all of us. We all want to do something with our lives. We see work, and work is a good thing, especially when you're doing something you love. And so it's like everybody has these passions and things that they aspire to be. And, as you go through life and things come up, sometimes you are forced to do things that you don't want to do, or, work for somebody else. And it's nothing wrong with any of that. But then some of us are fortunate enough to just be able to do things, whether we're able to get away with having somebody pay us to do it or give us a lot of money to start, or we just, kind of grind, starting from the bottom. And so, early on just had that knack. I know when I was a child, me and my brother, we started our own little business along with a couple girls from down the street. We had to have been like, I don't know, maybe 10. Like I was 10, my brother was 6, and the other girls were around the same age, and we were called the Cashman Kid Workers. The street that we lived on was called Cashman Court, and we would go around. We had a little that red wagon. Every kid had a red
wagon.
Growing up in the '90s, you had a red wagon, and so we had the red wagon, and we'd be pulling weeds from people's sidewalks, like our neighbors. So we'd knock on the door, like, "Hey, for $1, $2 or something, split between 4 of us, we'll pull the weeds."
Really?
And so we started this business. We would go and knock on the door and say, "Hey, we're the Cashman Kid Workers, and we're gonna pull your weeds." And we started doing that for a whole summer, I believe.
That's incredible, man. Now, okay, so you were walking around town, and I would imagine that you probably got a decent amount of business because you're kids, so everybody's just like, "Oh, that's sweet," but also you're doing the work that nobody wants to do. So.
Right. I mean, town's a little ambitious, but it was just our street, and we it was some neighbors, and so they knew who we were, which is nice. But what I quickly realized is, towards the middle to end of that, it's like I was, I guess, the banker or held all the money, and it was like, what do we do with all this money? I got to distribute it evenly. How do I break this up? And so you just kind of get used to early on, like, man, this is how the economy works. Like, I didn't know what I was doing as far as the economy. I didn't know what economy meant.
Yeah, right.
I didn't know what any of that meant. All I knew is that you're supposed to do something in exchange. You can receive money.
Get money. Yeah.
And it wasn't even like I was in a place to go and buy anything with the money. I just had money.
Wow. So you didn't have your eyes on like, oh, I want to go work and get money so I can buy this new baseball card, or I can go buy these sneakers or anything. No, you just were like, I'm going to spend the summer working and get some money and go from there.
Yeah, it was all about just doing something and doing something that we wanted to do and being rewarded for that. I think that was the premise of it all, and being able to, I kind of led the group into that. We all had specific roles that we would play. Some of us would sweep the dirt. Some of us would, pick at the weeds. Two of us would be picking the weeds. Some of us would sweep the dirt. The other would just kind of do a little bit of everything. And so we had like a whole business.
That's dope. Now, were you the boss? Like, were you kind of commanding what everybody did, where you were going to go? Were you coordinating all of it? Were you the CEO of this little enterprise?
I was the CEO of the Cashman Kid Workers. That was my first CEO job.
Excellent.
At 10 years old. I was probably the youngest CEO in Peoria, Illinois.
Amazing.
So, yeah.
And that was kind of the start of this entrepreneur journey, right?
It was. And I mean, we'll go into more, but that was the start. It was just, and I didn't, like I said, I didn't know exactly what I was doing. I didn't know what entrepreneurship was. All I knew is that, I can do something and by my own volition and get other people to help. And
now, was this influenced by your parents? Because, right, I know like during the summertime, my mom would be like, hey, here's some lemonade packets. Go make some lemonade and set up a stand. And I was just like, okay, that sounds fun, but I'd rather stay home and play basketball or something. But did your parents instill this into you? Was this just something you came up with or what?
I would say my dad instilled the work ethic.
Okay.
But not necessarily the entrepreneurial ethic. He was very much he was very much in a union at AT&T for his whole career.
Okay.
Retired with them and worked for the man. He had the opportunities to really move up in the company and just chose not to. He liked what he did and was a very senior level IC, independent contributor. Which at the time that really wasn't a thing, but that's what he did.
Yeah.
But he just had a very strong work ethic, and I saw that. I think all of us, all my siblings saw that when we were growing up, and just the way he approached work, and he would instill that in us.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of took that and did my own thing with it.
Kind of led by example, not necessarily from an entrepreneurial perspective, but just, hey, like you go and do things with your life and you'll probably get paid to do it. So, okay. That's very cool.
Bare minimum. That's what I knew.
That's awesome. Yeah. Okay. So, all right. And you mentioned you grew up and were doing this in Peoria, right?
Yeah.
And so you spent most of your formative years in Peoria.
So I did. I grew up in Peoria, Illinois. It's a town it's a small town, probably the size. I mean, we live in Phoenix now, so I'd say it's the size of Tucson. There's not much to say about Peoria, to be honest with you. I know some people that may be listening to this from Peoria would beg to differ, but I don't have much to say about Peoria.
Okay.
It's just
it's where you grew up.
It's where I grew up.
Your family's still there, right?
My family's still there. I mean, it's nice to visit. It's a small town in Illinois, about 2.5 hours south of Chicago, and there's not much going on. But yet there is.
Sure.
There is. Now that I'm an adult, I can see that there's things happening in Peoria that are good, and so it's not a bad place to live. It's just not a place for me.
Was it a good place to grow up, though? Like, are you happy that you got to grow up there, or would you prefer to grow up in like Hawaii or SoCal or something?
I think looking back, you you want to grow up near the beach. I mean, I look at kids that have grown up on the beach or near the beach, and just like, man, your life was just so different than growing up, in just a Midwest neighborhood, shoveling snow in the winter, cutting grass in the summer. I had no access to. I didn't even see a beach until I was a senior in high school when I went to Florida.
Oh wow!
Yeah, that was the first time I saw a beach and like the ocean. It's like, what is all this water? There's a lot of water. There was a river in Peoria, so I mean, I was used to water.
Okay,
I mean, I did see some water, but I wasn't.
Not ocean.
No, not to the effect of an ocean, like a vast. Like I couldn't. You can't see the other side. You can drown.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, because you didn't grow up around the ocean and I didn't either. And I have this weird irrational fear of the ocean in a that you don't know what's in there, like under, like at the depths. I mean, we know what's in there, but standing on the shore, you don't know. But also the thing that freaks me out is that you can't see anything beyond the horizon. Like it's weird growing up around buildings and mountains. You always see something on the horizon, but with the ocean, it's just vast. It's like, does the end of the world end there?
Yeah. I mean, I can see why people think the Earth is flat, because you can't you can't really see.
Right.
I mean, I'm not. I'm not.
You're not a flat earther?
I'm not a flat earther.
Okay, good.
But I understand why people may think that way.
Right.
I don't, but I do. I can see it.
Yeah, are you afraid of the ocean?
I mean, I'm afraid of water.
Okay.
It's just I've almost drowned twice.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Unfortunately, quick story. It was one of the times was the very first time I visited Arizona. I hadn't even lived out here. I was out at Canyon Lake and with a couple friends.
Beautiful lake, by the way.
It's great. I love it up there. I mean, I haven't been back since I almost drowned. Like it's not a place I really want to go drudge up those memories. But I was out at Canyon Lake, and there's a rock where you can cliff jump.
Yeah.
Okay. I was 18, I believe, maybe 19, I think. Yeah, and so we were like, "Oh man, let's just swim across the lake and jump off this cliff." And at 18, you're like,
invincible.
You can do anything. Like I didn't even really know how to swim.
You can't gauge the distance. You're like, that's probably doable if somebody said we could do it.
I could see the other side, and so we just all went for it. Me and two other friends, and halfway through, I was like, oh, I'm not gonna make it. It just hit me. I mean, it just really quick. I was like, I'm not gonna make it. And I literally just started going down, and I was able to push myself up and yell help real quick. And then I just went down. I didn't know if anybody heard me. And luckily one of my friends heard me. He saved my life.
Wow.
Dominic Mattarelli saved my life. I owe him my life, but I haven't paid him back. But he saved my life.
You're still indebted to him? Okay.
I'm still indebted to him. I don't really have anything to give him. Yeah. But he saved my life.
That's I've never heard that story, man. We've been friends for a long time. That's a cool, scary, interesting story.
I don't tell too many people, but
that you almost drowned.
That I almost drowned. Yeah. And another time was on another river in Illinois. Our boat was on a canoe and the boat capsized.
Oh,
and
dang.
I was with another friend, and I mean, he could swim just fine. He's grabbing things, and I'm just like I'm gonna go down. Yeah. I'm just going down if I try to grab or save anything. So we lost, some sunglasses and a few other things, and I've made it to the other side.
Good.
Barely, but it was again just like, I'm not good with water, but I love getting in the water.
Yeah,
I'll
sure.
get in there.
Sure.
I'll still get in
best,
there. Yeah. I'll still get in the water, but you might find me at the bottom. Like, you got to watch me.
Get him some floaties or a life jacket, and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Okay, interesting. All right. That's a fascinating story, man. I'm glad we talked about that because I never heard that. And that's interesting that you literally almost died.
That's
crazy.
did. I almost died.
Wow.
That time at Canyon Lake, I thought I was gone. Like, I was ready to just like, oh, this
is it. This is
you
how
kind of
go.
have this thought in your mind, like, I'm not getting.
You
not
remember
getting
it?
up.
I mean, do you remember
Oh,
it
I remember
vividly?
not vividly, but I remember just like there was literally nothing I could do, and you're under like you can't cry or like anything. You're just you just at that point you just accept.
Did you just hold your breath and just be like, it's gonna give up eventually?
Yeah,
But
yeah. I mean, yeah. I was splashing a little bit, and I was just like, I don't know how to keep myself my head above. Like I was just thinking of other ways that I could do it, and I was just tired.
Sure.
Like,
yeah, you had
no
just swam
idea.
halfway across the lake,
but I swim badly, so I was expounding too much energy.
Sure.
And I've practiced swimming since then.
You have a better technique now.
Yeah, I have a better technique. Yeah.
Enough to save your life if it happens again. Hopefully.
Yeah. I don't think I could. I mean, if we go back to the ocean, I'm drowning in the ocean.
Got it. Okay.
If I go back to the lake, I think
you could handle it.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. God, that's
man,
that's wild. Okay.
It is.
Well, that's interesting because I think you are a fighter, and you have obviously faced your own adversities. I think everybody has in life, right? Everybody's got some story that's kind of honed and made them who they are today.
Yeah.
But tracing back a little bit to just that entrepreneurial spirit and being a fighter, somebody who wants to go and pursue things and almost not taking no for an answer.
Right.
And I want to understand, like, what else in your life so you did the Cashman Kids. And what else? Like, what else has your entrepreneurial journey been like?
Well, I mean, before I really got into it, I dabbled with, I not really dabbled, but I kind of got talked into, getting into some MLM type stuff, and that's a dangerous game, my friend. That's a dangerous game. Yeah, I mean, let's go back a little bit. I didn't go all the way in, but I did. I did kind of
investigate.
Yeah, okay. I went to a couple meetings.
Were they like the breakfast meetings where they offer you breakfast or lunch or something, and then you have to hear the pitch? Is that how you got sucked in?
No, it was more like it was friends. It's always a friend.
Yeah, okay.
Somebody that's gotten sucked in. They're like, man, I got this business opportunity, and I'm being an entrepreneur, I would say that most entrepreneurs have thought about this.
Sure.
When you have that mindset and you see the business idea of an MLM, kind of the concept is pretty genius.
Yeah. You get to be your own boss and build your own team. They make it sexy.
Oh yeah, sure. The way they talk about it, and man, there was this one in particular. It was for this phone with a video. It's a video phone, but it was like an old phone. It was early 2000s.
Okay.
And think of it like a dialer phone. I don't even know. I mean, I grew up with phones. I don't even know how to talk about them now because it's old technology. But basically, they were selling this phone to you could talk to your family across the states or across the world and see them.
Sure.
This is before, video
modern
phone
day video was the thing. Yeah.
And the funny thing is we just had a new president. Donald Trump backed this phone.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this MLM, And I'm like, so I'm at this meeting, and there's it's at a hotel, and there's a bunch of people there. And all of a sudden on the screen, you have Donald Trump coming on there like, oh, I use these phones. It's a beautiful phone. This is the perfect phone. You want this phone. Trust me, I have millions of these phones. He doesn't even use this phone. I guarantee
They just paid him to be a spokesperson.
He was just a
spokesperson
for this. And so everybody's like, yo, man, you can pay then to buy one of the phones. Yeah. And then buy another package that gives you access to the phones to then start telling other people about them.
Sure.
And then get people. You know how MLMs work.
Yes, you got to buy into it. And
you got to buy
continue to buy.
Continue to buy, yeah. And there's a select few people that do succeed at MLMs. It's not like it doesn't work, but most of the time it doesn't work.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a solid business model
Right.
for 98% of the people out
Right.
there trying to be, small business owners,
Exactly.
whatever. Yeah, it's
But
crazy.
I don't want to spend too much time on that. So I want to get to some of the things that actually were legit.
That were good?
That were
Yeah,
good.
okay.
But past that, I was working at a corporation here in Phoenix, and Avnet, I believe, and I met my first business partner, Ryan Harrison, who, man, this guy's a go-getter.
Mm-hmm.
It's like one of those things where you meet somebody and you're like, oh, he's doing something.
Yeah.
I mean, to this day, he's doing something.
He's still always up to big things.
Oh yeah, he's up to big things. He's really done well for himself, and so we were both working, and he's like, we're both like, man, corporate America, it's not for us. We're not corporate. We don't want to sit here at these desks for the rest of our lives.
Right.
So we're both in design and creativity, and so we're like, let's start a business. Let's start a creative agency, a design agency. And so, and like, yeah, I mean, that'd be cool. Like we could, talk about that. Next day at work, he comes in with a business plan and a logo and a name already.
Wow.
What
He was
are you
in. He was
doing?
in. Like, dude didn't sleep. He
Like,
just
I thought this was like we were just talking about this. I didn't know we were going to start tomorrow.
Okay.
It was called the Atelier Group. The Atelier Group. It's kind of like a French artisan word.
I like that.
For French, like an artisan. So yeah, we started that, and the funny thing is that it worked. We didn't know what we were doing, but we captured a few high profile clients.
Nice.
One of the clients was LifeLock at the time, back when they
Okay.
were still early and still like kind of the very early stages of Silicon Valley, when that's building up. And
That was a big account for you guys. Yeah.
yeah. And I was doing a newsletter for them, and a few other, like we did this fitness studio. We built a website, and we met with the owners, and they took us through one of their workouts, and it was the hardest workout I've ever done in my life, where I threw up later in the day. Like you ever worked out so hard, you don't even throw up in the moment, but then later your body finally catches up, and it's like, what just happened? And then you just let it out.
Oh my
That's what happened.
That
Like,
intense.
hours later.
Wow. Okay.
I don't know what we were doing. Like, I was not prepared to work out at all. But it was, you got to build relationships, and that was part of building the relationship.
Sure.
We secured the account, built the website, got paid. I mean, you got to take one for the team.
That's right. You're just
sometimes,
wiping your mouth off all that vomit with $100 bills. You're like, it was worth it.
Yeah, exactly. That's pretty much the picture. And so, yeah.
Dang. Okay, that's cool then. So, how long did that last? Did you guys sell the
So,
company? Did you just kind of
No,
go your separate ways because life happens? And
yeah, life happens. We changed the name of it to be a little bit more sophisticated to like our middle name. So we were Sebastian Thomas, and it was like just kind of like a lot of agencies at the time. I can't even think of the names anymore. But they were like names,
sure, like
like
firms
owners'
or something.
names,
Yeah, sure. Okay.
And so we were like, well, let's grow up, let's do that. We redid our website, and then we tried to do it. I had moved overseas to Italy for a year, and I won't get into all that. But I was over there, and we were trying to do it, remotely. It just kind of phased out.
Okay.
After a while, yeah.
It ran its course.
It ran
kind
its
of
course.
thing, and
It ran its course, and I mean, we were still doing things together. We came back. We built. We created an ad, like a commercial for one of his school assignments, because he went to school for advertising, and we did this Tang commercial.
For
like
Tang?
like
Nice.
the orange
the orange
drink.
Yes.
Tang, you
Dude,
know. And
I haven't had Tang in
oh
years.
man, I don't even think I had Tang when we were doing the commercial. Like, I was like, I'm not gonna drink this, but I'll do a commercial for it. But yeah, it was Tang.
That's cool. Okay.
Yeah. If you haven't had Tang, you should go get some Tang.
You got to try some.
You got to try. You got to try Tang.
I wonder. They got to still make it, right?
It might be on a bottom shelf at Fry's somewhere.
Yeah.
You
Gotta
know,
dust it off when you take it home.
Yeah, dust it off. But
it was like it was the Kool-Aid equivalent, but I want to say it was actually maybe it was maybe cheaper than Kool-Aid at the time or something. I don't know.
Definitely cheap.
I don't know why Tang was so popular, other than it was an easy, powder, dump it in water drink.
You just dump it in water.
Yeah, very simple to make.
Yeah, it was like a bunch of bad stuff for you, and then you drink it. It tasted good.
Yeah,
as long as it tastes good when you're a kid. Doesn't matter.
No,
what's
it doesn't
in
matter. Yeah. I drank pitchers of that stuff.
Oh yeah, I drank so many just water and sugar. These little bottles that were colored. You don't know what was in them, but
I guarantee you half that stuff would be banned by the FDA by now.
That's what you grew up on. That's what makes us who we are. The '90s kids.
Again, it's funny. I was just at a candy store where they have thousands and thousands of different candy brands of things that we had when we were growing up, right? Like bubble gums and stuff like that.
Laffy Taffy.
Laffy Taffy. Fruit by the foot or whatever.
Fruit by the foot.
The fruit
Gushers.
roll-ups. Yeah, Gushers.
Oh, man.
But one thing that I was looking for, and I don't know if you remember this. Do you remember Squeeze-Its? It was a bottled drink where you squeeze the top off, and it was like this plastic bottle.
Oh,
and
man.
it was like red, blue, and I think Kool-Aid makes a brand of it now. But it was actually called Squeeze-It, and I asked them if they had it, and they were like, "Oh, let's look it up," and they didn't have it because it's discontinued now. And I looked it up, and it was discontinued because there was some chemicals, some dyes in there that they were using that aren't allowed anymore. So I'm like, crap, I drank that when I was a kid.
Yeah, I grew up on that stuff. So many things aren't allowed anymore.
Yes.
We're here.
I mean, we could talk for hours about all the things that we did as kids that kids don't have any idea or can't do anymore.
They just can't do that.
Yeah, I mean,
they don't know.
It's a miracle we're still alive too, right? Riding around without helmets and all the rest. But
man, I didn't wear seat belts. I didn't wear helmets. We were dangerous.
Yeah, we were dangerous.
The rebels.
Yes. But it shaped us into the amazing human beings and legends that we are today, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, but so, going back to just, I guess, kind of now you've definitely leaned into and stepped forward into being an entrepreneur.
Right.
Starting this business with Ryan, and now you are on the path, right? You are definitely, you're still working though a full-time day job, or what?
Yeah, I am. I dabbled with day jobs. I dabbled with startups, and was kind of weaving in and out of those back and forth, and design agencies. There was never a time where I was just like, man, I'm just gonna stay here and work my way up the ladder. I just had no desire to do that. I don't even know where that terminology came from, like it's ladder.
So old school, man. It really is.
I just I couldn't do it because I saw like what my bosses and things are doing, and they were just behind the screen working on presentations. And trying to convince the the CEOs and stakeholders they were in the middle, it was like, here's the middle, like you're being told what to do, then you got to tell other people, and those other people don't really respect you, and then you got to go back to the C-suite and tell them like, hey, they're getting mad. It's just a mixture of things that I don't want to be around.
You weren't passionate about it, and from what I know of you, and you've even just kind of embellished around it, but you are a creative person, right? And I think that environment, that corporate environment, doesn't necessarily lend well to a creative. You can be in marketing and be creative, but also you have to stay in a bunch of guardrails in order to be successful in that environment. So
and there's times where the corporate environment and just a 9 to 5 really helped in stability. I think that's what it brings the most to people is stability. You kind of have that you have your paycheck coming, and you don't have to worry about hunting down clients. Man, have I had to hunt down some clients, and And
That's tough, man.
that part is tough. And, startups aren't easy. I've done them myself. I've been around them and talked to a lot of owners that are just like, man, it's not easy. But, you just, at the end of the day, it's what fulfills you. It's what fulfills you. It's what keeps like the energy going. And it could be a 9 to 5. Some people, that's just what it is. And that's totally fine. I'm not downplaying that. It's just not for everybody.
Yeah.
Just like entrepreneurship and startups are not for everybody. Like some people are just like, I just don't want to be in that world.
Yeah.
And that's okay, And so, but the good thing is that having kind of a foot in both, or just understanding what I like and what I need from both of them, is really what shaped my career. And man, if we can get into kind of how that led me into, being a DJ, that's
Wait, you were a DJ?
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
of course I knew that. Yeah.
I know.
Of course you were a DJ. That's why you're on this
know.
podcast.
Yeah.
We only interview DJs from here on
Yeah.
out because
Yeah.
they're the only true legends.
Exactly.
No, just kidding.
Exactly.
But yeah, you obviously are creative, but you also have this passion for music, which is how we really connected. That's how you and I met, was through this. It's not like we knew each other, were DJs or passionate about music, but we were told, hey, I think you would connect really well with Rico and Dave. You guys are both into music. And so, let's talk about that. You were a DJ. You ended up starting your own kind of company as a DJ. So, what was that all about?
Yeah. Partner number 2, Manny Felix.
Manny, shout out to Manny.
We met at church, and both had a passion for music. I think I was DJing like a Halloween party or something that he was at, and he was, he kept coming around asking, questions. I'm like, back up, I'm the DJ here. You don't ask the DJ questions,
while he's in the middle of his
while
set?
he's in the middle of his
working
set.
here, bro.
Like, I've got things to do,
How dare you, Manny? How could you?
Yeah, come on.
But obviously that was
but
the right
obviously
move.
there was like there was a mutual love for and passion for, and later I found out, it was like, that he DJs. And it's like, oh, well, you could have started with that, instead of lurking around, and so we talked about doing a DJ set, like a wedding together, which we ended up doing. We did a wedding for a couple that we knew at our church, and it was a success. And a lot of people just loved the vibe that we had, and just the music that we played, and we would even get out there and dance with them. I loved, as a DJ, just coming away from the table and getting out there and moving my feet as well.
Yeah, because you're connecting with the crowd, and you are. Yeah, I think it's amazing when DJs connect with their crowd.
Yeah.
I mean, oftentimes at festivals it's hard to do because you're on such this big stage and stuff. But just even being able to connect with the crowd, and I think that's awesome. And also the dancing part too. Right?
Yeah.
Like, if a DJ can dance, then he's passionate about the music he's playing.
Yeah, exactly. And so I would, I'd get out there with the crowd, and it was just so much fun. And so we started Felixico, which was our DJ business, and we did that for about 3.5 years, just DJing weddings. We DJ'd at the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Yes.
We DJ'd, parties and events, and it was just it was successful. We never really did like clubs. I wasn't. It was a little. I was 30 when maybe 31 when I started, and so it was a little after like wanting to be just out late all the time, like especially on weekends, and so there was never really a desire to DJ at a club or things like that. But I was more passionate about just bringing a vibe, to a crowd. And weddings were obviously one of the easier ways to DJ because everybody's always getting married.
Right.
That's just something that just seems like it's just not going to stop. But then you have other opportunities like the Diamondbacks. When we were approached by We had a contact there, and when we were approached and asked to DJ, and they were doing like a happy hour. One of the summer of 2014, they were doing this happy hour before every Friday home game, and it was like the Miller Lite happy hour. I think you may have went to one.
I did go to one. Yeah, I remember that. I remember that. It was cool. Man.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't anything like crazy.
No,
but,
I mean, you didn't have like thousands of people,
right.
vibing and dancing, but
right.
you were still at the Diamondback Stadium,
yeah, we were
and
at the
you were
Stadium.
there with people, and you were vibing, and everybody's having a great time.
Yeah, and they paid us very little. And but gave us a lot of tickets.
Sure,
and so
sure.
We'd have friends at Diamondbacks games, every week, and which was a lot of fun. And so just over the course of that time, I think just learning how to work with a partner in a different medium, a different creative medium. This wasn't design. I'm a designer, creative designer via career, if I didn't say that to begin with, but this was music. This was like a passion. This was something that it's like, man, I'm passionate about this. I can do this on the side. I dabbled in creating music and doing a little DJing just on the side by myself, but never really thought of making it into a business. And that's like something that I know, like you think of it, you think of your passion, you think of something that you really want to do. And sometimes it's like, man, I don't really have a path to get there, to make money with it or to actually do it, But, you never, I mean, and you don't know.
Right.
You don't know.
Right.
You never do know until you're handed an opportunity or, possibly given an opportunity. You just kind of roll with it.
Sure. And then you realize, like, hey, this is something that I'm enjoying and people like it and they want to pay me for it, which I think is ultimately the launch pad for a lot of people who want to get into entrepreneurship or, owning their own small business. It's like once somebody approaches you and says, hey, I'd like to pay for this thing. You made this amazing table. You should make these, or this painting is incredible, or you're a graffiti artist. Would you come and paint my building? It's just it takes that one little spark, that one little encouragement, to launch. And honestly, that's I think what a lot of entrepreneurs get sucked into, right?
Yeah.
And it's addicting, because you're just like, oh man, like I have this thing that I'm good at and I'm passionate about it. So they always say, find something that you love to do and something that you would do for free and turn that into your business, because then you're passionate about it and you can likely make money, but not all the time. So how successful was Felixico?
I mean, successful in the way that we made money. People they wrote good reviews. They loved us. We retired from that on our own volition. It wasn't that we didn't have work to do. We kept getting asked, can you do it? And part of it was, my partner, he moved to San Diego and got married, which was really good for him. And so we just ended. Yeah. And I still get asked, because there's like this like whole other group of people that they've heard that I've DJed, but they've never seen it. And, I don't know if I'm ever gonna bring it back. I mean, I might, you never know.
I keep trying to get you to
I know
come
you
out of
keep trying to
retirement,
get
man.
me.
I would love to DJ a set with you someday. It's
yeah.
still on the radar, and we're getting closer, I think.
We're getting closer. I keep getting talked into
I can
it.
Smell it, man.
I know.
It's out there.
And
it's
I'm
out
just
there.
like, man, I don't have
So
time.
if anybody out there wants to have a party and have two incredible DJs, get at me, because
you're way better than I am. Like now, I'm just like, man, I can't even keep up.
No, man, once it's like riding a bike, man. If you can stand behind the decks and play, then you can do it. It's all just creative licensing at that point.
Exactly.
But that's cool, man. I'm stoked that you've kind of entered all these. You've tried different things, which I also think is important as somebody who is a creative, as an entrepreneur, to try different things. Right? I think that's important. And then you tried something else, and I want to talk about, because we talked earlier about Rico Lavender and this incredible name, and you parlayed that into a business. Like you created a brand, and let's talk about that. So
so as Felixico is ending, I'm also passionate, just being creative. I'm also passionate about fashion in a way. Maybe not like, maybe not certain types of fashion or your modern day, walking down the runway type fashion. Although I find it very interesting, but it's more about like with the music, like with DJing. I like creating a vibe. I like just chill, like simple, good vibes. And so I started collecting watches a long time ago, just randomly. I never really thought anything of it. I would just see a watch, and it could be like a cheap watch, it could be a nicer watch. And the thing I liked about like the cheaper watches is they were really creative, just random. Like why does this watch look like that?
Like very, very
If it was a watch,
bizarre designs,
yeah,
or not bizarre, but just interesting and almost a talking point or something. That
like a
stands
talking
out.
point. Watches with huge, like big faces, and I had a watch it was a white watch, and it had this triangular face. I don't even know why I bought it, but it was just because it was so weird and
It's
so
unique.
different and
Sure.
unique.
Sure.
And so, as I was doing that, again, I'm at a corporate job, and I just have the time, and I was like, man, I wonder what it'd be like to just design my own watch. Not even thinking of a business or anything, or starting my own brand. None of that was on the radar. It was more of just, let me just design a watch that I can see if I can get made and wear. So I started with a simple watch template. You can find any kind of watch template online, and threw it into Adobe Illustrator, and started designing my own with my own colors and everything. And then I started researching. I think there was a company called Movement that was really popular, probably about, I don't know, 8 years ago. I mean, they still around.
Yes, yeah.
But they got real popular. They started doing really cool ads where they would do something really extreme, like jump out of a plane into the Rockies with a watch on. It's like, what does this have to do with the
With the
watch?
Yeah.
But I knew
it was catchy
just,
and
it was
and
just marketing.
unique. Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I was like, they're just a watch startup. Like, how are they getting all this popularity, and like, how are they making these watches? So I researched that and saw, oh man, you can get your watches made in China or Vietnam or overseas. And then I looked, it was like, oh well, I don't want to do that. Maybe I should look at Swiss and German watches. Looked it over there, and it's like thousands of dollars. I'm like, well, let me switch back.
All right, we're going back.
Let me
here.
switch back. And so, so I started reaching out to. I think there's a website that you can find, and I don't remember off the top of my head, but there's a website where you can see where brands get their products made.
Oh yeah.
And a lot. I mean, most brands get their products made in Asia just because it's a lot cheaper until they've really made it, and then maybe you can work with an artisan in Italy or Switzerland or Germany or even the States or something. But so I started looking. You can reach out to these manufacturers, and then places like Alibaba and things make it easier, just because there's a lot of manufacturers on there. So you can look and reach out to them, and like, here's my idea. I have a drawing for a watch. Would this be something that you could make? They try to get you to just buy their existing watches, and you can just white label and put your logo on it, which is the much cheaper idea. So if you're really good at marketing, you can do that, build up your brand, and then go in your other directions, which is probably the smarter way to do. But I was like, man, I want to build my own.
Yeah,
I want mine to be like created from scratch. I did this, I drew this up. From a template, but I drew this up.
Yeah. This is going to be my watch.
Yeah, I want to pick all of the things that go on here, and so that's what I did. And I reached out, found a few manufacturers, and was getting samples sent over, and a lot of them were just really cheap and not good.
Okay.
And so it was a long process, and then just the language barrier and things. And finally, I found a manufacturer that it's like, wow, they did a really good job. They had the quality was good. It was heavy. The strap was good leather.
Mm-hmm.
You could tell it wasn't cheap. And I'd wear it for a little while just to see how it would handle like bumps and in the water. Was it really water resistant?
Sure.
Or
Kind
is
of
it
stress test it
yeah,
yourself.
stress test it and
quality control.
and it did well. And it was great. And I don't know. I was wearing it one time when I was back in Peoria, and a friend of mine I went to high school with was like, "That's a really cool watch. Where'd you get that?" And I was like, "Well, I designed it. It's mine." He was like, What do you mean you designed it? And so I kind of, talked to him about it, and he was like, I want to invest. And it's like, I never really thought of doing this. Like, it was just for me.
Just personal. Like, this is one of one. And
this is just one of one.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, well, yeah, I think let's see if we can get some made and get them sold. And
that's freaking cool.
I was kind of talking. I was like, I'm just going to call it like Rico Lavender. People like the name. They already think it's fake, like it's some designer name. So I might as well just use that.
It is a perfect name. It's cool that you also get to tie it to you, because you are.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's so important, I think, now in business, is to kind of put a face behind a name or a brand, right? People want to resonate with that. So the fact that you did that was very insightful, even if it wasn't totally on purpose. But it's a cool name. So yeah.
And then I worked with a small studio. It's a creative agency. It was based out of Seattle at the time. I think they're in Cleveland now, but worked with them on branding and just the voice. And I started selling. I launched, and it was just like this. It was very surreal because people were buying my watch, and that's what I started with. And now it's kind of morphed into a little bit more. And but it was great. It was just timing was a little hard. It started off in, I think, 2018. Well, I started it at the end of 2018, but I didn't really get going until 2019. And so yeah, and so that was.
That's incredible, man. I mean, what a dope, I don't know, just a dope thing to fall into, right? And again, it's just like you created something, somebody saw it, and they were like, hey, I think you could sell this to other people. And again, just that encouragement, but also the mindfulness that you had to be like, I'm gonna tune into that and run with it and see what I can do with it. And you made a business out of it, right? You started creating products, and I remember you launching it, and I remember getting my own, right? And the packaging that you had gone through and developed for it. It was a whole experience unboxing this watch, and it was this huge box that like the whole watch fit in, and it was just this wonderful experience, which I think was very cool too, that you were thinking about that as well, like not just the product, but the experience.
The whole experience
of opening it and having this watch, which I think a lot of watch owners want. So
again, just setting the vibe. It's about the vibe with me.
Yes, I love that, and I think that's important. I do want to ask, so for somebody out there who is curious, because now I'm curious, but how much does it cost if you wanted to get your own one-of-one custom-made watch made? What's the price point? Is it $1,000? Is it
no
$200?
It costs. It varies. It just depends on the manufacturer, and then you have to factor in like your strap and the types. So if it's a leather strap or a Milanese strap that's stainless steel, or anything like that, and then how big the watch face is. The smaller the watch face, the smaller the mold that they have to make, or the bigger the watch face, the thicker the watch face, the bigger the mold. And If you white label it where they already have molds available,
That's the cheaper
and that's
option,
the cheaper
or
route.
the less expensive
the less
option?
expensive.
Okay.
I went with the more expensive option, which I wouldn't do starting out again. You kind of learn from that.
Sure.
It was very much my own,
Yeah,
but it was also very expensive.
An expensive learning
did
experience.
Did not get a return.
Yeah,
like,
sure.
I didn't recover on that, and so you learn about that.
Yeah, but I don't know. So a white label watch with I mean, what's the lowest price, would you say?
And you can get a white label watch made for $20 to $30.
Oh, wow.
Like
Okay.
$20 a watch.
Okay.
And then sell it for 80,
Yeah,
90
sure. Okay.
if you want.
Okay.
And I mean, you factor in shipping, you factor in packaging, you factor in all the marketing, so you can increase the watch price. So you just have to know what the margin is and how much you want to make. But knowing that, it's like some of these watches that are hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now there's watchmakers that very meticulously put watches together.
Sure. Yes. It's a cool craft.
I mean,
Absolutely.
the craftsmanship is unbelievable. But anything that is not meticulously made, that you can look up and see, oh, that came from overseas, and it's over $200. It's like,
Nah, I know how much that
I know how much
costs
that
to
actually
make.
costs.
Yeah.
Like,
Your margins are high.
Yeah.
Sure. But I mean, of course, there's marketing involved. There's the packaging, like you said, all of the other elements, right, that go into it. But no, I was curious because I'm like, man, I've always been trying to think of this thing that I would love to be able to give my guests as being part of the Legends podcast. And I was like, coffee mugs are so, corny. Yeah. Stickers are cool, but wicked corny. So I'm like, maybe I should do watches and give all my guests a Legends watch, and then it's exclusive. But
you could.
I'm like, $30, man. No, just kidding. That's cool though. Okay. Interesting. Now, are you still doing Rico Lavender watches and accessories?
Yeah, I am. It's kind of had a little bit of a resurgence. I went on pause for a bit.
Yeah.
Had some personal things come up where I was married at the time, and right when my watches came out, or right when we're kind of in the thick of it, where I'm starting
You're
to
launching
sell them.
everything, and
I'm
it's
launching.
going. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my wife at the time, she had an affair, and I found out, and it just kind of like it changes the course it changes the course of a lot of things. It takes a lot out of you. Anybody that's gone through something hard, no matter what they're doing, things that are hard, it could be a loss of a child, it could be cancer. I mean, there's a number of things that people go through that disrupt just your life, that disrupt the fabric of what you've been doing, and this one hurt. I mean, it's
a big gut check. Yeah, absolutely.
It's a gut check, and it's mainly because she was such a big proponent, or really a big cheerleader of my business, and a big boost of motivation. It was like I didn't have to do this, but there was like this motivating factor that she lended she was a good photographer. She took pictures of my watches and did a lot of things up front to help me get started.
Sure.
And then as I begin to start, and I have my watches in a couple stores, here in Phoenix and out in Illinois. And we're getting ready for this pop-up that I'm doing, and I going through this and getting this news of her affair, and not just her affair, but her desire to not be in the marriage, her desire to be with this other guy. It's hard. It's one thing to go through, like, oh, my spouse, the person I dedicated my life to, had an affair, and like, okay, made a mistake, we're gonna go fix this and kind of work it out. And it happens, and I people go through it, and you have to rebuild trust. But then there's some people that just completely give up. They just step out, and they're like, I'm gonna make a complete 360, complete 180, and go the other way.
Yeah.
And so here I am at this pop up, and it was called Phoenix Flea. They do them every year in downtown Phoenix, and I had found this out. This is a couple months now, and I had already signed up for this, and so, I'm getting things together, and at the last minute, I'm like, man, I was already planning on doing this with her. I needed help. And she was really the only one. I mean, she knew my watches. She knew my business. And so we go there and we're set up, and I'm sitting up here and I'm doing like this dream passion of mine.
Yeah.
But I'm doing it inside of a nightmare. It's like it was so weird how like. I'm at the happiest. I mean, at one of the happiest moments of where I'm like, man, I have my own brand, and I have this woman that I love, and that she was by my side and kind of cheerleaded me along, motivated me along, but I'm also standing next to someone that doesn't even want to be with, like, she doesn't want to be with me. She's just here. She's here, but she's not really here, and it's like this. It's a nightmare. Like, it was a nightmare.
Yeah,
You're standing there and you're talking about these watches, and it was like the last time like we did something together. Like actually, like it was just like she was like my teammate. I mean, if I had a business partner, it was her. I had a partner, the guy who lent me the money, but he had to step away. He had some personal things. He had a new child and stuff coming, so he had to step out. So I didn't have anybody. It was her, and it was like this dream of, I wanted to do more with it, and like I said, she was a photographer, and I don't know. There was just it's hard because it's there's a lot of stuff I don't remember just because of the trauma from it all.
How did you deal with it? Like, you just kind of did the motions and did the watch brand and the business. I mean, do you feel like it helped you get through it? Do you feel like it was worse? Did you have to let it go?
It was
like, what was it like?
It was a bit of.
You said
a little bit
walking nightmare.
It was a little bit of everything. It was, like I said, it was a nightmare, even though it was like I was living part of my dream.
Yeah.
I have my own brand, my own business, and my own passion. I've done it.
Yeah.
And I have my partner by my side. It's kind of like, I don't know, you have this husband and wife dream team, or the power couple. We're a power couple. But it was not a power. There was no power in it. We were just, it was a complete mess. She was mentally gone. Physically she was there, but
sure,
she wasn't with me. And it's hard. And at the time you think like, man, nobody gets this. Nobody really understands. People do, but and I don't know. And there's nothing bad that I have to say about her, the situation. It was just a situation that was just very unfortunate, and I wish it was different.
Sure.
At the end of the day, nobody wants to go through things like that. But so that was at the end of 2019, and then that was at the end of 2018, and then you get into 2019, and I'm kind of just. I'm just kind of going through the motions. I don't really have the motivation, but I have this product that I want to sell and keep going. And so I had some more pictures taken from a photographer friend, Jonathan, and I worked with another artisan, another craftsman here in Gilbert, Arizona, who created these wallets, like these titanium card holder wallets, and they were really cool. And so partnered with him and had another product. So I had wallets and watches, So I'm starting to build this men's accessories, and that was the vision. So I was happy about that. But again, there was this part of me that just wasn't really there.
You weren't into it, you were distracted mentally.
I was distracted. I wasn't as into it mentally. I was just
anguished,
drained.
Yeah, sure.
I couldn't think, and so that was really the rest of 2019. And I still sold some watches, but it wasn't how I had envisioned it at all. And then 2020 came, and it's COVID, and I'm just like, all right, I don't really know if I want to do this anymore.
Yeah, sure.
The world's just going crazy.
COVID turned everything upside down.
I don't have time.
We had no idea what was going on.
I don't have time for this. And so I remember writing a Instagram post like, hey, this is it. But never say never. I might be coming back.
Guess who came back?
I came back.
Dude.
I came back.
You did. You're back in it now.
I'm back in it. I'm back in it. I'm back in it. It's still, it's still bittersweet because, again, the beginnings of this it had a different vision. And so I'm trying to reshape that story and that vision of what that means for me now, just doing this on my own. And I don't really know yet, but I'm coming back with it. And I don't even know if this is the end game. It may not be, I know. And maybe towards the end of this, we'll get into what you and I have been doing on the behind the scenes with the brand. But I still have it, my Rico Lavender brand. I'm still selling things. I just haven't been pushing much. I have my watches in Dialogue. It's a shop / coffee shop here in downtown Phoenix, and so you can find them there and online. So it's it's still up. I'm still into fashion. I've been meeting some people recently that are into fashion, and some other people just here in the city that I can partner with and do more with. So I'm gonna give it another push.
I love
see what happens.
I love that. I own personally a couple of Rico Lavender watches because I just always want to support my friends who are doing big things, but also it's a really quality watch. Like, that's the cool thing about it. It's not just like, I want to support you, but also I believe in the product, man. Yeah. Like, I love my watch. I have my wallet that I got from you. I think I still have the bracelet that I got. Yeah. So the accessory business is very cool, and especially kind of bespoke, type of fashion when it comes to accessories. So I definitely think that, you need to continue to go down this path, because I think for you also it's about overcoming a lot of those things that made you stop. And the cool thing is that you are climbing that mountain again, right? I can totally respect that you had to take a pause, step back, catch your breath. And a lot of entrepreneurs, go through that.
Oh,
and it's part of being an entrepreneur, So
they do.
The fact that you're kind of going down that path, that's fascinating. And I think that you, with your entrepreneurial spirit of just kind of striving through, I think is really at the core who you are as a person, right? Yeah. Going through this adversity, powering through it. Obviously people, shut down and lose all that aspiration, but you found it, and you not only are pursuing this business, but you're also pursuing other things. And so I'm excited to talk about more of this, but because we are running out of time, we're going to do a part 2, folks. So stay tuned for episode 2 of the Rico Lavender story. It's been incredible. So I can't wait to share more with you. But Rico, man, this has been a quick hour, bro.
I didn't even know we were talking for that long.
No, but it's good, man. We'll do part 2, so stay tuned, everybody. We're gonna hear more from Rico and what he's up to next. Until then, guys, stay legendary. Thanks, Rico.
All right, thanks.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.